It's the final day of this pretty elaborate case. How are we gonna, I don't know. How do we prove Lana innocent? Because the last time we were in the trial, we pretty much proved Lana guilty, ironically. But we do know now that apparently she's more of an accomplice than she is the actual murderer. She was simply told to move the body, not to kill someone, but anyway. This is the defendant lobby, alright? There's no defendant. Or rather, there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? Where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth. Knowing you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 77777 ID number is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Again, it's a hunch, though. I don't know. I mean, it probably is. It probably is the truth, but, why would you put your ID number as your password for the safe? It kind of makes no sense, but anyway. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. The only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from the list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, Wright, and Chief Prosecutor will be found guilty. But she didn't do it! I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Well, Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth. Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. Well, that depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, Wright? This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gaunt has on her, it's now. Alright. But, are we gonna, make the Chief, testify or something? Can we do that? I don't know. Oh well. Let's see. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gaunt. Morning, folks. How's everyone been doing? Hey, LG, been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it in my work. That's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. Okay, what's she gonna say? What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana! It looked like she was holding something. I guess not. That was her bandage, actually. Behind her back. Anyway. You can't. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana... Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has a right to self-representation. The request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening. It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant. One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Yeah, well, I was saying that before, you know. That's what you need to do. You have to prove the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. That's exactly what you say. That's exactly what you need to do. In, like, real life, too. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gaunt. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh, to whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I'm exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gaunt? Worthy. You'll live to regret this, mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Okay, we're gonna give Emma testimony, I guess. Or she give testimony anyway. Where was she this whole time, by the way? She was like being questioned by the police and everything? Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma. Emma Skye. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember that the trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. Okay. He sure gave in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. in the chest. Anyway, it's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well. Defense may begin its cross-examination! Cross-examination! Okay, we're cross-examining our waifu sidekick. She looks concerned. I don't know. What did Gaunt tell her? Well, 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective of the police department, correct? Yes. She was second command under the deputy chief of the police, Gaunt. My sister, she was the best detective ever. Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gaunt and Miss Sky used to be quite the pair. I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I'd always sit in my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day too. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Nana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. The man came running in. A man. Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer. Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest. When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right? Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then, he ran to Sky and Gaunt's office. There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. The cowboy guy rescued you? Or, well, not the cowboy we know, but his brother anyway. Well, what was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gaunt and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gaunt. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assumed that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark. When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was good as dead. And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in. I don't clearly remember what happened then, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on, and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago? Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw? Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Well, this picture the witness drew, I believe has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right? Yes, I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now, whenever I close my eyes. That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, yet I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken? But I did draw it, I swear! I'm not just imagining it! And this picture that Emma drew, that reminds me. I guess I should check the evidence again. Well, anyway, let's continue. The scene that in your mind, can you please describe it to us? This is the man has raised up and stabbed Mr. Marshall in his chest. Which is weird. I'm thinking, well, I think we're supposed to, you know, show evidence against this statement. But this statement is kind of weird because if I remember correctly, was he stabbed in the chest? I can't remember. That's we have an autopsy report, right? Neo's autopsy report. Single stab wound piercing heart and lung. I guess it doesn't show because I remember. I guess we don't have a photo of it, but I remember him being stabbed in the back. You know, when Lana's little like testimony she gave in the detention center. She said she found 3 bodies lying on the ground. She found Emma and also Neil Marshall and Joe Dark. And Neil Marshall was on top of Joe Dark for some reason. And he had like a knife, you know, on his back, not his chest. So that's weird. But I guess we don't have evidence for that at the moment, so... Oh, anyway, let's see what... Well, actually, let's see what she has to say about that, though. Well, that must have been a real shock. Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see it just as clearly. Tell us, what were you doing at the moment? I believe you testified that Joe Dark was holding you hostage. When lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark, and I was thrown aside and the two began wrestling each other. WWE! Okay, not that kind of wrestling, I guess. I'm pretty sure I was watching them. Emma doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. I need to get Emma to tell me as much about this as she can. Seems a bit lost. Well, we have it right here, don't we? Where is it? It's this thing, right? This magic marker. A bad feeling about this. A bad feeling about this. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold! This is the evidence list for the SO9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over. Turn it... Ah! What's this? Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it! That's the picture I drew! Indeed, 2 men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists, they're different from each other. What? Would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These 2 lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here, where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. Actually, the judge mentioned something about marks being ripped off? I don't see any marks. Yeah, it's hard to tell. But I guess like maybe it's like 2 pages, I guess. You know, back to back, like here, like there's like a book, you know, like one's on the left and one's on the right, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What? Order. But, Miss Sky, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list? Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor. Are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. Oh, well, you didn't notice that until now? Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn at the back of my list. It's that thing. Nani? The Blue Badger. I knew he was the true killer all along. He's the true culprit. Take him away. That's that thing. That thing that was dancing in an evidence room. Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Okay. Okay, stored and updated in the court record. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's like a little booklet. Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? You seem to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Looking at the picture, you say? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's drawn the same marker, right? So, did she draw the Blue Badger as well, or is it? I don't know. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind. Well, thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Jared Dark was about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Well, there's gotta be something wrong, I feel like. Maybe? I don't know. Well, did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of David Gaunt and Lana Skye. 2 or 3 days later. The memory should still have been fresh in her mind. Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black? Flashlight was so bright, all I could see was shadows, okay? So at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue. No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor. You were knocked to the floor? Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed. Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed? Must have fainted. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No, I'm sorry. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course, this is the exact scene. It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives? Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. I better watch out, or he might find some way to cut my salary. You don't have, you own the business. How can you cut your own salary? Anyway, I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me. Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture? Huh? Oh, well... That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here. Contradiction. Is there? I can't tell. This is the scene that was imprinted in her mind. Is there... chest wound... That's Bruce Goodman. I need to look at Neil Marshall, actually. Neil Marshall. 7 minutes and 30. Piercing heart and lung. Any contradictions? Well, for one... I mean, I don't know if it's either... I don't know, this might be, again, completely wrong. In fact, well, I don't know. Because there's like two pictures. There's this picture she drew, and there's also the picture that we sometimes see as a flashback, I guess. I don't know if that's the correct one, or what she actually saw. But some details are missing, I guess. Like, for one, like, why is this like a rectangle? But maybe not, I don't know, maybe it is just like simplified? You know, everything is simplified, I guess. I don't know. Phoenix is saying there's a contradiction, but what's the contradiction? What's the contradiction? I mean, there's this piece of cloth. I don't know, I guess related. What else did we find? This vase? There's blood there? I don't know. I don't know how that's related. Okay, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. So he got stabbed in the heart, right? Near the heart and lung, apparently. Shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Okay, Phoenix is saying there's a contradiction. I don't see it. Me personally, I don't see the contradiction. Phoenix, can you just give me a hint? You apparently know, I don't. I mean, I feel like you need to, like, object this one, right? What's the contradiction? How could this possibly not be, you know, be the, what she saw? Right? She says, this picture is exactly what I saw. How can we prove that it isn't what she saw? Or like, you know, like what she didn't see, or what she, like, what could have made this what she saw? I don't know. I'm so confused. Okay, what's the evidence tied to the SL9? There's a rubber glove. There's a jar. Tapes. Now, tape is not related right now. It's an autopsy. There's a piece of cloth. I think... Well, actually, when I think about it, it does make sense that this is a rectangle, because if the murder weapon is like a knife that was broken like apart, or the tip was broken, then it would make sense. That looks more like a rectangular piece, right? I don't know. But again, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go on my gut instinct. I'm gonna say, I feel like maybe the contradiction is what he's holding, right? It doesn't look like a knife. If it was a knife, it would be drawn a little bit differently, don't you think? Or, I don't know, maybe her artistic ability wasn't good enough that she didn't want to draw a knife, but I don't know. Other than that, maybe she didn't see exactly, you know, what he was holding. Otherwise, I can't think of anything else. Like, why would there be a contradiction there? Why would there be a contradiction there? You see, the contradiction is the fact that Neil doesn't have his hat. He always has his hat. Actually, I remember actually in the flashback, I feel like, yeah, I saw his hat fall off, so that makes sense actually. I don't know. I can't tell. It's hard to tell because what's actually a contradiction and what's just like simplified details, you know? But let's see. I think, well, I'm probably gonna take a penalty, but let's see. I think this is what you need to present. Yeah, penalty time. Yep, penalty. Ah! Hey, hold it. Like exactly what you saw. Not influence, right? Contradiction? What contradiction? This is a picture I drew 2 years ago. I'm gonna press everything again. Let's see, I'm gonna read everything fast. I mean, I don't know if there's any hints within the actual, like, pressings. To freshen your mind. Paint it all black because flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see was shadows. Okay, this is what we see, actually. At least a flashback, anyway. I mean, it looks pretty one-to-one. You know, other than the fact that... No, not this. Other than the fact that, of course, everything is, like, simplified, you know, like stick figures. What's wrong with this? Wrong. Contradiction? Contradiction? What contradiction? What contradiction, Phoenix, right? I'm looking at their bodies, I mean... Yeah, the guy's on the floor, he has his, like... It's kind of hard to tell because you turn your head sideways now, but... I wish you could turn the whole screen, I guess, but you can't do that. Has his hands up, he's just crouching. And the other guy has an object over his head, he's about to stab the other guy. Right? Maybe it's because we don't see the window? I don't know. But then again, I don't know, why would you draw a window? My head hurts. Wow, I don't get it. Unless... I don't know. All you could see was shadows. All you could see were shadows. All you could see was shadows. Well, here's another thing. Maybe we need to present the actual picture itself? I don't know. Wow, I don't know. I don't know exactly what you need to do here. Why is this so hard? It's so difficult. I don't think there's nothing there. Again, stabbed. Turn long. Well, I mean, again. Oh, actually, I didn't say. Oh, that's weird. You know, I didn't say in the actual file, but it says right here, stabbed in the back. That's what I was thinking about before as well. But it doesn't say in the actual report. It doesn't say, hey, he was cause of death, stabbed in the back. No, it doesn't say that. It says piercing heart and lung. Only in the actual court record description it says that. Which is weird, I guess. But I guess this is the contradiction? Okay, either I'm wrong, you know, I'm stupid, but maybe it's because maybe it is right, and the reason I've been avoiding it is because I didn't know, because I kept looking at here, right? I kept like going to the file. It doesn't say that he was stabbed in the back, right? But it does say here, right here in the description, it says stab in the back. which you would think would be the other way around. You would think like looking at the actual autopsy report, it will give you more details, but I guess not. But I think, yeah, that's what you need to present, maybe? The contradiction here is the fact that he's being stabbed from the front, not the back? I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report? I mean, the fact that he's being stabbed in the chest, right? I mean, the whole thing, right? I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe the knife? The fact that it's going like this direction into his chest? I don't know exactly how to present that. Do I present here, or do I present there? Yeah, that. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken. Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright. But, Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. You see the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. Okay, this is different. This is not exactly what I wanted to prove, but I guess that's a thing too? Like, I feel like I'm getting... Okay, so it's another thing. I think we found out actually was the knife that was in the wound. Okay, I feel like... You know... Okay, fine. I guess it makes sense. Because why would she draw something that's already broken, right? When it wasn't broken yet. It was broken when he killed him, not when before. That doesn't make any sense. Supposedly, because the tip was found in his body. So that's the reason. But again, I feel like my confusion still stands in the sense that how would you know this tip is broken? It looks like a big rectangle. How do you even know this is a knife? It looks like a TV remote. I don't know. Gosh darn, 14-year-old Emma, could you be a better artist? Anyway. It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's so obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. What's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right, but what does this mean? The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. And that's why I asked her so many times if she was sure he was remembering correctly. I believe you were annoyed at that time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No. Well, I mean, this is bringing like a lot of like what do you trust now? Like what is forged and what is not? I have no idea how to prove that. I don't know. Order. Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gaunt. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives? Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's. Could there have been one? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, if we choose to believe Emma, that is, and she was pretty adamant about, what she saw. When is so adamant about this accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by simple observational error. Mr. Wright. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife? If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this! Here is the real murder weapon! Well, what's another broken thing we have in our court record? I think I have an idea. I mean, there's this knife. There's the other knife. This is not broken. And that can't be used in SL9, is it? That was used in this case anyway. This is screwdriver, but that's not broken either. There's one thing though. Check this photo, I guess. I guess this, right? This thing? I don't know if that can be used as a murder weapon, but that's like a broken halberd, right? That's the only like broken weapon we have in our court record, so that's what we need to present, I think. You know, it's a lot easier when I can see like an actual like photo, you know? When I see a drawing, I got so confused. I didn't know what exactly I'm trying to prove. Again, Emma's drawing is like, how do you like... anyway. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. This is the picture of the war ceremony. Oh! What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the war prosecutor Marshall was holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was all in likelihood from this award. Order. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. I mean, okay, I guess so? Kinda weird, like, you can just pull it out. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait, I remember now. I remember everything. Witness? Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one of that picture scribbled on the back. I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you recall, Miss Sky? Yes, Your Honor. Okay, first a knife mix-up, and now the blue badger. This should be interesting. Okay, when I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. The blue badger. Was this before the the blue badger even became a mascot? So that's weird. Yeah, this is certainly most unusual. Try impossible? The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Stop. Please, don't pursue this any further. Wow, she's like panicking. Lana? What was the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Sky. We've already come to this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. When I saw that man raise his knife... Okay. When you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark. Yes, at least I think it was him. You think? All I could really see were shadows. The power outage that immediately preceded the incident is also documented in the prosecutor's office reports. So then you... panicked and rushed toward both of them. Why would you do something so dangerous? What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall. She seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife. But as we just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife. Well, I didn't know that at the time. When that Dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was I've got to help that other person. Okay, mixed up the victim and the murderer maybe? I don't know. I think I knocked away the man with the knife, okay? Now, what do you mean you think? It all happened so fast, and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur. Miss Sky was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife. What you did was very brave, young girl. So then, what happened next? Okay. Another flash of lightning. Are you sure about this? Of course, see? I even drew a picture of him here. But... it was the chief of detectives who thought up this hideous beast. That was just this year. The blue badger didn't exist 2 years ago. That is all quite verifiable. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before, somewhere. Now I finally remember. Oh, brother. Just when you thought that the thing had caused enough commotion. Tell us, where in the room did you see him dancing? He was in the room, I wasn't sure. I'm sure I saw his shadow. His shadow. So you mean you didn't actually see his face with his winning smile and all? That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think what she saw, what she did. To think she saw what she did. Okay. Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation. If so, then by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger really? I mean, I think I know. I don't know why I know. But I think it's because... Well, what do we know that has creepy horns? I feel like... Oh, I don't know, actually there's this missing part. Because I remember seeing like this like weird design, I was like... From straight on, it looks like it has horns, right? It doesn't have 3 horns though. Is this broken or... Yeah, I think it's broken. So maybe, yeah, I think that's true, this is it, right? I don't think there's any other like 3D object that can show that has a shadow or anything. Other than the blue badger, and why would it be the actual blue badger be in there? That's impossible, it wouldn't have been there. Literally impossible. I don't know, someone might have been playing hand puppets during the lightning, you know, while they were fighting, they did the hand puppet, it looks like the blue badger. I don't know, maybe not. The blue badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture, yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on the fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Oh, Mr. Wright. In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us this mysterious blue badger look-alike. Well, I think it's this. Hopefully? I think it is. It's my, again, gut feeling. My gut feeling is something wrong, though. I always get stuck at certain parts, but you know, I feel like if I didn't notice that before, I would probably get stuck at this part too. But anyway, the mysterious blue badger was in fact this. But that's what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Well, indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. Maybe not like that, because I was thinking like this, but then again, it doesn't look like it, right? Actually, so I have to look in a different direction? I don't know. What would cause a shadow to make it look like that? Bam, ba-da-dum, ba-da-da-ba-dum, bam. Maybe not like that. The horns. Well, actually, the other way around, maybe? I don't know, actually. Like this? Like this, maybe? Or maybe the other way around? I'm not sure. Or maybe like this. Like this. Like that, maybe? I'm thinking like this, maybe. I don't know. Like that? Hopefully I'm right. Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger. Do 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 do. It can't be, oh no! Order, order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, the one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, This changes everything. Indeed. Very well then, please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw this jar? Well, now this jar is at the scene of the crime. The location has not changed. The murderer... I don't know. The murder weapon. Murder weapon... He still got stabbed by a broken sword, right? Or something? A broken knife of some sort? Doesn't change the fact that he was, like, murdered, right? I don't know. I feel like it's the murder or the murder weapon. I feel like. I don't know. Like, she saw a jar, shadow of a jar, apparently. And what was the... Who was killed again? Neil, right? But it was like a stab wound. At the I mean, there's a lot of forged evidence. I don't know what to believe anymore. But we can only assume it was a stab wound, so that doesn't change. It was still a knife of some sort. So maybe the murderer? Did Emma kill someone? I don't know. I'm gonna assume this has changed. Because it wasn't Joe Dark that killed Neil Marshall, or someone else, maybe? I don't know. I'm not sure, actually. I still don't know. Murder weapon or the murderer? Because I feel like the murder weapon has not changed, though. Unless the jar somehow became a murder weapon as well? Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Oh yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in the picture taken the day of the crime. It's on the shelf of the office of Damon Gaunt. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testifies so herself. Okay, I guess all of the little options were right. I guess I didn't have to think too much. I had to choose just one of the options. I feel like because it does change the location slightly. I was thinking like change the location as in change the entire location to a entirely different place, but actually it's simply that the jar itself is close to Damon Gaunt's desk, is what Phoenix is saying. So I guess it changed a little bit. Yes, and it's those two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gaunt's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gaunt's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. There is no reason, so therefore there is a reason. Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She says she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. Okay, we can only assume that was Neil Marshall. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have been the impact the man made when it was knocked into the wall. I guess, yeah, I guess the jar fell down when it was hit. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? Ah, the suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked in his armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking... Yes, there is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility? Of course, the perpetrator would have no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Bleh. Well, that was like such a quick death. It's like, whoa, bleh. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! No! Okay. You fainted, apparently. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances, Joe Dart murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Biting her nails now. Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved the Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're gonna have to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. We don't have evidence. They will have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify, unless Maya was here, I guess. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touche, Miss Sky. Of course, that only leaves us one more possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind a name of the person who took his life, in one manner or another. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possible left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. I mean, dying message, right? Similar to the first case with Mia. I was thinking, wasn't this the message? It's like dots, right? But we need, well, I don't know. Could we use like luminol testing fluid to make the full message? I don't know. Because I'm thinking it's that one, right? This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek: the truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased. I think it's this. Maybe, I don't know. Either that or, well, the thing is, the fragments fell on the ground, right? And then if they made a message on that in particular, how would it look like? I'm not sure. Yeah, because if it's all like in pieces, and then they left the message on here, it's funny. Well, I don't know. I guess its artistic license. Because I don't know if blood, you know, even if it's dried up, would last this long, you know. So clearly, anyway. I guess it's like dried dark blood. That's what the description says. I feel like that's the only thing. Like anything with blood on it. There's this. That's not his blood. I mean, I don't know if that can. I don't think you can draw like a message on that. There's nothing else with blood on it related to the SL9 incident. So there's only this, right? This is the message left by the deceased. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message is left here, on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice. For some reason, the blood on some of the fragments were not wiped away. Yes, there is a line here, drawn in the blood. So what you're saying is these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No. Yeah, she's sweating. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal us the answer. Gotta connect these dots to make a letter. There's only one thing the victim could have written given the circumstances. His murderer's name. Well, I mean, I don't know. Does it say? Could it say anything else? Because otherwise, it would pretty much look like this, right? Emma. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Skye. Well, I guess she'll be charged with manslaughter. And that'll be it. Seaworthy, can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gaunt, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Zark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. Was that? But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone might say, this fact cannot be denied.
What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have seen innocent man to his death. Oh no! How could he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order, 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 order! Ah!
The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, nobody knows. I have no idea. Are we just gonna, like, you know, convict Emma? She's our psychic waifu. He doesn't look evil, and again, it's like the idea is that she did it accidentally, so I don't know.